If you haven't watched my last video, I strongly suggest that you watch it before you watch this one. It is all about due dates, and I read an article from Evidence-Based Birth on that. It's going to be linked below, and also be sure to check out Evidence-Based Birth YouTube channel as well as their website and all of the research that they do in regards to birth. My last video, literally the day that I posted it, they had updated all of their research. I didn't touch base on everything in the whole article, but definitely after you watch my video, go back. I've compared the article to my video to kind of make sure that I'm up to date as well with all of the information provided. About due dates, go to the updated article on Evidence-Based Birth's website. This video is on induction. For starters, the definition of induction from AmericanPregnancy.org is: inducing labor is the artificial start of the birth process through medical interventions or methods. Induction not done for medical reasons or as an emergency is considered elective. Induction of labor has recently been on the rise for purposes of convenience or to accommodate busy schedules. According to Evidence-Based Birth, here is some more on induction. For many years, the common belief was that elective, non-medically indicated inductions doubled the cesarean rate, especially in the first-time mothers. Elective inductions might occur for social reasons, like the doctor wanting the mom to give birth before he or she goes out of town, or for non-medical reasons, like the mother wanting to be done with an uncomfortable pregnancy. There is a gray zone around elective inductions. Many providers only consider induction elective when it is healthy women, single pregnancies, and less than 41 weeks of pregnancy. Otherwise, the induction may be considered a medically indicated induction. Long story short, there can be many reasons for induction, whether or not it's personal or just if it's medically necessary. Your preferences are always up to you. At the same time, some might be induced when they don't want to be, and maybe they feel like they don't have a say in that. And they might also feel a bit coerced. The holidays are here. This is a good time to talk about induction with your care provider. And it's also a great time to learn about the options that you have. Some of us have strong and/or different opinions on induction, and that's okay. I like to talk about everything, and I want to keep my videos informative for everyone. Because induction is actually like pretty broad. There is a lot to learn about induction, your due date, cesarean, just so much. Bear with me, this might be a kind of long video and I apologize. I'm not gonna go into full detail on everything because it's so much information, but I'm gonna leave every link and all the research that I did in this video in the description below. So please, 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 if you want to learn more about these things, if you want to dive deeper into these things, I really suggest that you read all of the links in the description. The following topics that I'd like to cover are reasons for induction, medical induction methods, natural induction and cesarean, induction and big babies, induction and the holidays. Some different medical reasons for induction could be pre-eclampsia, gestational diabetes, issues with the placenta or bleeding throughout pregnancy, pregnancy exceeding 42 weeks, and infection. Birth is not one size fits all. Birth is unique to each and every one of us, and our bodies and our babies, our situations are also unique. Always talk to your provider and ask about your options and speak about your concerns. Now, if you feel dismissed, that's a different conversation. A provider should never ever make you feel bad for asking questions. What are some medical induction methods? There are pros and cons, risks and benefits to everything. I'm not going to go in depth with all of these medical methods of induction, so please look them up individually if you're interested. I won't confirm or deny any of the following methods. I'm just naming a few natural induction methods that is listed on the Evidence-Based Birth website. This includes acupuncture, red raspberry leaf tea, blue or black cohosh, eating dates, breast stimulation, and castor oil. Speak with your provider before you do any induction. Always have like a birth team and collaborate and discuss, you know, hey, I might be interested in doing this versus this. As far as riding on a bumpy road goes, I don't think that I would suggest that. And you can go back to my interview with Mandy Irby, which I'll link below, where she kind of debunks some myths and some bad advice around pregnancy with me, so I don't think a bumpy road will help induce your labor, and I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't work. No, that jumping on trampoline. Yeah, no, that's just going to hurt your pelvic floor, I think. If I knew the secret to inducing labor at home, I would be a billionaire. Like, we're all trying to find that.
Induction increase your risk of having a cesarean. Prior to this study, there was a concern that induction of labor would increase the chance of cesarean delivery, said study author Uma M. Reddy. Our analysis suggests that elective induction at 39 weeks is associated with a lower rate of cesarean delivery and does not increase the risk of major complications for newborns. Although cesarean delivery is safe for mother and baby, it is a major surgery and does carry risks. It takes longer to recover from a C-section compared to a vaginal birth, and the surgery may increase the risk of problems with vaginal birth in future pregnancies. Elective induction, labor induced when there is no medical need to do so, before 39 weeks is known to pose health risks for newborns. However, elective induction at 39 weeks or 1 week before the due date has become more common in recent years, said Dr. Reddy. Funded currently study to determine the potential risks and benefits of elective induction at 39 weeks compared to the expectant management or waiting for labor to begin naturally, with healthcare practitioners intervening if problems occur. Studies show that having elective induction, which is induction for a healthy or not high-risk pregnancy after 39 weeks, has a lower risk of cesarean delivery. Anytime before this, the risk of cesarean birth might be higher. I would further look into what if my baby is too big. But this is my own commentary, not evidence-based research. I've heard the term big baby very frequently since I became a parent and I started birthing humans. With my first, I gained weight too fast. That apparently resulted in a massively large baby that my provider thought that I wouldn't be able to birth vaginally because I had an ultrasound 30-some weeks and he was like, whoa, your baby's measuring large, you'll probably need a cesarean. Rewind all the way to my first prenatal, first ever pap smear ever. I was like 6 weeks pregnant. My provider looked at my pelvis and said, wow, you have a really small pelvis. You probably won't be able to have a vaginal birth. You'll probably need a cesarean. And then fast forward to my ultrasound at 30-some weeks where they said my baby was measuring too large. So this scared me. I was a non-diabetic and not high risk in my pregnancy. Why would I need a cesarean? However, my baby was born at 40 weeks and 3 days, was average size. She was 7 pounds and 12 ounces. She was also born within 15 minutes of pushing. I had no issues birthing my big baby vaginally with my small pelvis. So what is a big baby really? I'll read some from Evidence-Based Birth. Please research this entire article again if you're interested. Can't stress enough that I'm not reading full research on everything. This is just snippets from different things that I have looked up that is evidence-based. The medical term for big baby is macrosomia, which literally means big body. Some researchers consider a baby to be big when it weighs 4,000 grams, 8 pounds, 13 ounces, or more at birth, and others say a big baby is big if it weighs 4,500 grams, 9 pounds, 15 ounces, or more. Babies are called extremely large if they were born weighing more than 5,000 grams, 11 pounds. A baby is also called large for gestational age if it weighs greater than the 90th percentile at birth. In other words, if it is bigger than 90% of all other babies born at that same gestational age. About 1 in 10 babies is born big in the United States. Although only 1 in 10 babies is born large, researchers found that 2 out of 3 American mothers had an ultrasound, and 1 out of 3 mothers in the entire study were told that their babies were too big. In the end, the average birth weight of these suspected big babies was only 7 pounds and 13 ounces. Now, does that sound familiar? When care providers brought up a planning cesarean for a suspected big baby, 1 in 3 mothers ended up having a planned cesarean. 2 out of 5 mothers said the discussion was framed as if it were no other options, that they must have a cesarean for their suspected big baby. So what are your thoughts on that? It seems like big babies aren't too common, 1 in 10 mothers. Cesareans are major surgery. These could be healthy mothers. Now I want to talk about the holidays and induction. This is going to be my own opinion, me reading from a blog. So this is not evidence-based research. So my story, where do I start? I did not have a great provider, and if you saw my traumatic birth video, yeah, you know kind of what happened. Talk of induction actually never really came up that early, which is good. However, the words big baby, measuring too large, small pelvis, gaining weight too fast, and all of that came up really frequently regardless of my good health during pregnancy. I hit 40 weeks in 2 days, and I wake up with period-like pains. I have not felt this my entire pregnancy. I know my body, and though I've never given birth before, I just know this is labor. It was New Year's Eve, and what do people usually do on New Year's Eve? They usually go to parties and have plans, and it's the holiday. I had 3 different due dates, so my provider really had no idea when I would give birth. I had my last ultrasound around 30-some weeks, and that's when they moved my due date. They said I was still measuring too large, so would they have planned an induction after the New Year's? I call my provider on New Year's Eve at 8 or 9 when they open, and I'm like, I think that I'm in labor. I kind of want to come in and get checked, and they're like, yeah, come in. I agreed to the cervical exam because I didn't know that you couldn't, not have one. And my provider checks me and he says, you are not in labor. If you try to be admitted tonight, I won't admit you. I'll send you home. So I left crying because after that cervical exam, things really started to pick up and I started spotting. So I was really scared. And I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't know that I would be safe without the hospital, which is crazy because I had a home birth after that. I was like, oh my gosh, my safe place being the hospital is not an option, and I'm in fact in labor. So I go home, I progress. I pushed maybe 5 minutes before he left the room, very discouraged and frustrated because my baby had not been born yet. Again, it had only been 5 minutes and he was already discouraged with me. Should we get discouraged with any birthing person that's pushing out a human being? No. But something was obviously wrong. I'm glad he took a step out of the room so he didn't say anything mean. But the look on his face, I could tell that he was just repulsed and angry with me. His words were, you're not pushing right, you can't do this, just stop. I ended up being induced when I got admitted and was 16 hours into labor at the hospital. And this made everything stronger and longer and harder on me. In my case, spontaneous labor had started. I had labored for as long as I could at home until I was admitted, and then they decided to induce. I think that I could have progressed better in a different environment if I wasn't stuck on my back, if I was able to pee and move around. I really think my baby would have came sooner, and if I wasn't so afraid. Thankfully, there were no issues with my birth other than mental trauma type stuff. It's scary when we kind of sign over things to someone else, and this is the person we're supposed to trust. I really, really want you to be able to trust your provider if you have one. That's so important. If you have a provider that you feel is bullying you or coercing you into things, please, please get a new one. I'm gonna read some from this Lamaze blog post about induction around the holidays, and you can just have your own opinion about it. Around the holidays, many pregnant people experience pressure from family or healthcare providers to schedule their baby's birthday around festivities and travel plans. Be aware, however, that scheduling birth without a compelling medical reason can put your baby at risk. Few doctors want to be pacing the halls on Christmas or New Year's, so it's not uncommon to see a surge of people with healthy pregnancies being told that there might be an issue and that they should consider scheduling an induction, coincidentally right before a holiday. It's not just your healthcare professional who may try to rush your baby's arrival. Families often can feel stressed about the uncertainty of the baby's arrival and feel it may compromise the celebration of holidays. Some also fear that their preferred healthcare provider won't be available and will agree to a scheduled early birth to guarantee their availability. The pressure is understandable. You build a relationship with your care provider over the course of a pregnancy on top of building up expectations about your holiday celebration. What are our options? Red flags that might signal being pressured into an unnecessarily early birth include care providers suggesting that baby is too big and will be easier to deliver early. Suggestion is made that care provider won't be available for a holiday delivery or will be booked up. Timing of delivery is centered on travel and celebration schedules. Holiday stress is driving feelings of wanting to get the pregnancy over with. Here are some things you can do if you are feeling pressured to schedule your birth. Ask your provider if you need to make a decision right now. If not, ask why not. Few decisions need to be made on the spot unless a mother or baby are clearly doing poorly. Research your options. Use credible sources of information like Lamaze, Childbirth Connections, March of Dimes, and ACOG. Childbirth educators and a doula to see what research says and learn from other parents' experience. Make a pro-con list. Label your pros and cons with medical versus personal and weigh out the medical pros and cons more heavily. If you are talking about major medical intervention like a cesarean or induction and you don't have a good list of cons, it's a good sign that you need to do more research. Trust your gut. Your instincts are geared to protect you and your baby from risk. Listen to what your gut is saying in the context of your research. Find support. It's hard to disagree with your healthcare provider, so be sure that you go into your appointments with someone who can help you have an informed, evidence-based conversation about your best options. So your loved ones can even kind of, suggest, hey, maybe you should induce. Maybe you need to do this, do that. And I know that mine did, because my sister was visiting from Connecticut. My aunt and her family were in from California, and my dad is a worrywart, and he thought going over meant that I would be harmed, my baby would be harmed, but he thought that after 37 weeks, when I was considered full term, that meant I needed to have the baby, and something was wrong if I didn't. And I think it has to do with misinformation and family being scared and nervous because they love you. And then there's the holiday stuff. People are traveling in, they're like, I want to see your baby. And again, they're misinformed. It's really important to know your preferences, your options, but it's also important to let your body do its job if it's already doing its job, and if you're healthy and everything's okay. We all have preferences regardless. I don't know anyone's unique situation at home, so I can't say you need to have a natural spontaneous labor, because that may not be what everyone truly wants. I never want to sway anyone's opinions whatsoever. I just want to share helpful information with you all because I wish that someone shared it with me, and I wish that I would have looked this stuff up when I was a teenager. Thank you for watching. Leave me a comment. Let's talk about induction, cesarean, and your birth experience. I want to hear all about it, and I want to hear what you're worried about if you're about to give birth. So let me know how I'm doing, and I'll see you next time.